Hi there, Phil Rogers, Lauren Hall here from 𝘄𝗲𝗽𝗍 for our weekly wrap. Feeling probably a little bit overdressed for our weekly wrap. So, you know what it is? It's Friday.
Yeah,
That's the closest I get to a day off.
Stop it.
So,
Start of the week,
now that we're comfortable, now we're a bit more comfortable, a couple of things we want to talk about. Some wins from the budget this week, in particular for first homeowners. So we've seen the extension of the first home loan deposit scheme, which is the guarantee of that mortgage insurance of the 20%, only needing to have the 5% and not pay mortgage insurance. One of the cool points to that, though, not only has it been extended, but we've also got it now back on the table for established properties.
Yeah.
So the last couple of rounds have only been for new builds, so exciting to see that that's now back also on the table for established homes. Now, noting as well though, there is only 10,000 spots available to be released come July 1, which will no doubt, like last time, go very, very quickly, especially because of the established piece now. So jump online to the Treasury website, check some of the eligibility criteria and find out if that might be you, because if so, it's a great leg up.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Second one was the First Home Super Saver scheme. They've increased the level of deposit that you can pull out, which was 30, it's now got up to 50. Yeah, so more equity to be able to go towards the purchase. So a couple of little wins in there. Obviously, not much of a, I guess, a huge budget wrap up from us in relation to the lending side of things, but they're two really standouts for us that I think are going to be really cool.
100%.
We had some policy stuff we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I did. So last week I talked about if you were starting in a new industry or had a new job, because that was a very topical thing at the time. The next one is generally sort of one of two things happened through 2020. Either you bought a bigger TV or you're now proud parents or you got pregnant. So maternity leave is something that we're talking to a lot of people about now. So I thought I'd go through maybe some guidelines around that, or what that looks like if you're looking at purchasing a home and you are currently on maternity leave or about to go on to maternity leave, and what that looks like. So sort of a real common sense approach to this and going, well, if we're going to take time off work, how are we going to cover our costs during that time? So most people will be eligible for some maternity leave income, some Centrelink income, so understanding what that's going to be and for how long, and then when you're expected to return back to work. So if we're looking to borrow money and you are on maternity leave, the banks will expect that you have a confirmed date to return back to work. Some will require that to be within 3 months. Those are the ones that are quite good with the stuff, so within 3 months. Some were more flexible up to about that 12-month mark. So we're going to look at, it's not your turn yet. So we're going to look at, okay, what's the income coming into the household? Maybe how short are we? So are we short a couple of $100 a week or $1,000 a month, or what does that look like? And then general rule of thumb is we need to have some cash to cover that shortfall during that period from when the Centrelink or the maternity income stops and we go back to work. Okay. Of course, want to understand what the new costs are going to be for the wee bubs, so childcare costs and those kind of things, and making sure that's accounted for in our borrowing capacity moving forward as well. So definitely options if you are looking at buying and you're currently on maternity leave off work, just understanding the timeline, making sure you've got return to work date, is it part-time or full-time, and how are we going to cover any shortfall around paying our mortgage and our expenses between when we settle and when we go back. So, now you may go.
To carry on from your points, I think a couple of things were really relevant for me.
I covered it quite well, but
you did well. The Centrelink, we talked about that income that some people will receive. It's understanding that banks don't actually accept that as income. So whilst you are receiving that during the period, which is great, we can't submit an application where people would go, oh yeah, but I'm receiving, the Centrelink income, for example. That's great. And it's fantastic to know in the household that there is some income coming in, but the banks don't accept that income. As you were referencing, it's that return to work income they're really looking at. So we need a buffer of often, and again, there's probably only, I reckon 4 or 5 banks that probably have a policy around it. And, so if there's a 6-month gap before you go back to work, if the repayments on the home loan were $2,000 a month, well, we need to show a cash buffer of $12,000. Yeah, so there's a really easy way to work that out. But the great thing is with the lenders that do it, that return to work letter, that's based upon, obviously, your employment, you return, full-time, part-time, what your hourly rate will be, how much will you earn, is it 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, etc. that they will actually accept that, potentially 12 months.
That's what your borrowing capacity is.
Yeah, that's the income they then work off. If that's 12 months in advance, it's just great that they've taken that on board. They've been, because other lenders will be, well, we have to wait till we get your first payslip.
Correct.
It's really hard. It's really frustrating during that time to go down that line. So it is a really good policy that we're seeing a lot of, and just very
topical.
Topical. But B, it's just great to see some of the banks stepping up and taking responsibility for that, which is really cool. The other one I saw during the week was just some interesting things around vacancy rates, right? Because we're in a really weird, or a really interesting time. It's not weird, well, it is weird, but interesting time as well, where it's as hard to rent a place as it is to buy a place. It's normally one of the drivers. It's normally one or the other at the moment. If you're trying to do or know anyone, A, trying to buy, B, trying to, they're just as difficult. There might be 30 people at an open home to buy, and then there's 150 applications for the same place to be rented once it's been bought, which is just crazy. So we saw vacancy rates, they said, had come down from 2.6% to 1.9%, which are really, that is huge figures in the big scheme of things over the last 12 months. But then 5 of the 8 capital cities were actually down below 1%, which is huge. To think of some of those cities, a capital city of that size having below 1% vacancy rates for rentals is huge. And then they made comment as well around, I think it was some places in Melbourne, and actually jumped up to 7.3% due to the oversupply of units, and obviously everyone moving to Queensland. That's my take on it. But it's just interesting to see these shifts, right? We talk a lot about the market from a finance point of view, but again, we spoke about the other week, when you sell, what do you do? Like, it's just hard to get a rental, so the organisation has got to be involved in all the links, and that probably gives a really good explanation about maybe why that's happening.
And there's still such a huge number of Australian citizens who are living overseas looking to come back. So that figure's only going to get smaller, because really, and that's why the government's supporting the construction industry with the road to recovery with COVID, is because we need more houses, we need more places for people to live.
Well, and that's clearly saying there's nowhere to live, nowhere to rent right now. So, but look, just a little bit of a wrap up there for us. As always, any questions, reach out. We'd love to chat. But enjoy the weekend for now.
Bye.
Bye.